Hey guys, how you doing? This is Manga etc. I'm here today to bring a review for Vamp the Lost Soul manga chapter 27. So still on one focus. I think probably there probably will be another chapter that has multiple focuses. But yeah, this chapter is still on one focus. So I'm just gonna go through the chapter kind of bit by bit and just express my feelings on it. So the first thing I want to go straight away, and I brought it up in my last review, is Nick taking the blood pack, which is, for those of you who can't remember, it's basically the VTLS equivalent of a SNZB. And in my last review, I said he should not be taking this because it's given to him by a villain. It could have been anything. It could have potentially been a death pill, and you willingly trust this guy enough to take it. But whatever, Nick takes it, and it was mentioned within the last chapter that it'll give you back a little bit of your health and that, so it's probably not a full recovery. But I did also mention in my last review that Nick didn't really go through much injury anyway, so between his fight with Gabriel and this little skirmish with MK2 so far, he didn't take that much injury, at least an injury I saw anyway. So it should have been a thing where whatever little energy he exposed during that time, the blood pack should have bring him back to full health. But my main problem was that he took the blood pack in the first place. But that's how we started the chapter. So after that, we go into flashback and we learn a little bit more about MK2 himself. And now his backstory adds to the agent of chaos that I've come to see MK2 to be, but also it adds a sick and twisted side to him as well, because you gotta be pretty damn well sick and twisted to have no natural love for your parents. It wasn't mentioned that his mom or his dad ever did him wrong, ever done him dirty, ever did anything wrong to him. It's from what I can gather. It's pretty brief flashback that could have been very easily a chapter within itself. But from what I can gather, it brings off the vibes that they were good parents until he turned. They were good parents. He just didn't have a loving bone in his body, and like I said, that's kind of a natural thing that you get from having parents. You naturally just learn to love them, but he didn't develop that, so that's why I say you became sick and twisted. And even so sick and twisted to kill your own parents, that's pretty dark, that's evil, kind of the vibe I'm assuming James is trying to develop for him. He's just naturally evil, sick in the head, and chaotic. That's the vibes I'm getting from him. But so yeah, he killed off his parents, guessing at a semi-young age. Then after the time, he ran with a gang called the Dead Rabbit. So then at some point, Van Helsing came along, and he was able to do what nobody has been able to do previously. I'm guessing a lot of people try to attempt this. Like I said, the flashback is very brief, and that is kill MK2 himself. And now I'm guessing he kills him, but as we know, he's still alive. His spirit lives on, and then that's where we find out that his spirit possesses the body that he has now, and we find out that his body maker was Dr. Frankenstein himself. And now I'm now realizing it's not MK2, it's Mark 2. I'm not sure within real life history Dr. Frankenstein made a second monster. I'm not 100% sure about that. We all know the famous Frankenstein monster. We know the famous one, but I'm not sure if there was ever a second one. But essentially in the VTLS world, he made two. Dr. Frankenstein made two before he was killed off by the second one. So it's not MK2, it's Mark 2. And now we learn that when Mark 2 died in his real life, his spirit lived on and was able to possess the body of MK2, Mark 2, whatever. And now that essentially answers my question of what happened within the chapter where Kaz lost her arms, sort of. We know that the spirit can live on. So it is, like I jokingly said, Shaman King. That is a Shaman King technique, because unity, possession. Yes, if you know what Shaman King, I'm talking about. Yeah, kind of. But I'm I might have to revisit that chapter because I'm pretty sure it seemed like to me anyway that the spirit attacked Kaz itself and not the body of Mark II. So if that was the case, that opens another can of worms: is how can spirits attack? How can spirits physically affect actual matter and life? If that was the case, or I might have just missed something completely. But yeah, for now, my question is answered. His spirit possessed the body, so I'm guessing now that the spirit can come and leave as it pleases. So that was an answer to my question. So after the flashback, we go back to the main action, to the fighting. And now Nick, because up until now, I wouldn't have said Nick was a smart character. I wouldn't say he's dumb. He is clueless. He doesn't recognize Jess likes him. He is clueless, but I would never have said, but that could be just clueless towards girls and, you know, was it like that? Cliche. That's a cliche. But I wouldn't have said he was a dumb character. But in this chapter, he does display some sort of intelligence. And what I mean by that is that he is fighting in the sense where he has a plan. He he wants to be swapping in and out of him and Puppet in order to confuse MK2 Mark II, sorry, in order to beat him. That's a fairly smart plan, because if you know, it's essentially fighting two people but, you know, just one body. But however, that doesn't go to plan for him, because he does swap out with Puppet, but once Puppet is in control, he does not want to give control back. He wants to do things his own way. Fair enough. Let Puppet be Puppet. Let him do as he does. But however, I do feel like, and I'm not 100% certain of this, when Puppet gets kicked, I think Nick uses that opportunity to regain control and then continue the fight for himself. Will he continue to swap out knowing that Puppet is not really playing ball right now? I don't know. But in this chapter, we have seen improvement, because we have seen Nick try to fight Mark II solely and not get any hits in. Within this chapter, be it Puppet or Nick, whoever one was in control, they was able to get some hits in. Is that probably is part of the reason of that probably being Mark II being over cocky and therefore kind of dropping his guard? Probably. But regardless, they are getting hits in. And now that's how we end off the chapter, and you know, the fight is ready to go on. We'll see how it goes on. Like I said, seeing as how Puppet isn't playing ball and Nick is now back in control, I don't really see him going back into it, but I could be wrong. So not gonna lie, I do have a problem with Nick being able to swap out. Simply because Nick only learned about Puppet today. Like in the VTLS world, it is still the same day Nick learned about Puppet, his own split personality. So the fact that he can now swap out probably hours at most has passed bugs me, because I personally feel like at this present moment in time, because he's literally just learned about it not too long ago, it should be a thing where Puppet can only take control, or essentially both of them can only take control when the other one is in a state of weakness. And I guess the reason why I assumed it would go the route of over time they would grow accustomed to each other and therefore learn to accept one another, and therefore then build a friendship, and then for them working together. I think that's simply because of Naruto and the relationship between Naruto and the Nine-Tailed Beast. So I guess I'm building my expectations of the Puppet Nick relationship based on that series, and that essentially is kind of a bad thing to do. So because I'm basing it on that, I kind of see as what James is doing is kind of wrong, but that shouldn't be the case. It's just a different approach to it. But a reason why it kind of bugs me is because I feel like, because Nick can swap out, I feel like the relationship between them is building too quick. And I feel like the whole fun of Puppet right now is that he's a part of Nick that's out of control, that's crazy, and he doesn't play ball. He's not friends with Nick. And that's the excitement of Puppet right now. And because Nick can swap out, I feel like that's a step towards their relationship being built up too quickly. And if their relationship, but if we get to the point where Nick and Puppet are buddy buddy, they swap out whenever they feel like it and are on good terms with each other, that's when the excitement of having Puppet around will just be straight out dead for me. Because when you look at Naruto again, the when you look at Naruto again, the excitement of the tail of Nine-Tailed Beast died when they formed the union and were buddy buddy. But that happens at the end of the series, more or less, at the end of the series. So the excitement of of Nine-Tails kept running on through. So there is the potential of me losing interest in Puppet as a character if things are built up too quickly. But James might have other plans for Puppet that makes him still relevant, still exciting, still a exciting character. That's just something I have to wait and see on. And yeah, so the pace is continuing still at a good pace. I don't know if I would have preferred a longer flashback for MK2. Probably, maybe not. We're still in the first arc. I major bit. If MK2 is not done within the series and he comes back later on, then maybe a longer flashback would have been justified. But for now, because I see him as just not a major villain, like once this arc is over, we probably won't see him again. I can accept the flashback we got given, but I do recognize that it was very brief and could have been more detailed. Nothing more to say on the chapter than that. I'm going to give it a 3-star rating, and like always, guys, I'm asking for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please go to my YouTube channel, but most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.